Good day, my friends. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. We just made it out here to Lone Wolf Mountain, and I can tell you two things. One, it is a beautiful day. Two, it's pretty hot. It really is. I'll talk more about that later on. The focus of this trip is simplicity. Here in a few minutes I will set up the tent, and as soon as I do, you will understand what I'm talking about. Not only am I excited to be out on a camping trip with you all, but I'm excited to test out this tent. Folks, let's just get it out of the way. Let's just go ahead and set this up real quick. What I have here is an instant pop-up tent. This comes from South Korea. I love tents like this. There are a few caveats, and I'll talk about that later on. The cool thing about these tents is that they set up almost instantly. All you have to do is take them out of the storage bag and they basically unfold and you're done. It's that simple. This instant pop-up tent has some interesting features that I've never seen before with a tent of this type. Here we go, folks. Let's go ahead and set this up. I mentioned that this comes from a South Korean company. It's called HUGE. I believe that's how you pronounce that. According to the storage bag here, this is the #1 tent brand in South Korea. I believe that's what that means. I'm not entirely sure, but what makes this tent so interesting are two things. One, the size. The company claims this is a 4 to 5 person pop-up tent. The pop-up part is true. 4 to 5 people, I don't think so. The next thing that's really interesting about this tent, it has an awning. I have never seen a pop-up style tent before that has an awning. That is an absolute first. I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, everyone, that this adventure was all about easy and convenient, and that's exactly what this setup is. I was literally able to set up my entire camp, minus my cook set and all that stuff, in the matter of minutes. There really is a huge benefit to that type of camp setup, because we've all been there. You're out with your family, it's hot, maybe rain's coming in, you're trying to set up a massive tent, something large enough for the whole family and the dogs. Maybe you're doing it by yourself, maybe your wife is helping you, but nonetheless, it's a battle. Something like this is not. The tent here basically set up itself, and so did my air mattress. And now all I have to do is set up my chair, my cook station, and that's it, everybody. That's what I'm talking about with this episode. Easy and convenient. The sky, my friends, is very, very dark. Now there is a chance of rain today, but it's very, very small. I want to say it's about 30% the last time that I checked. Anything is possible though. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. This is a really nice setup. Simple, quick, very convenient. In other words, this is the perfect setup for the conditions right now. When I say that, I'm talking about hot, sunny conditions. With this tent here, the company claims it's waterproof. I don't know if that's true. We do have to keep in mind that this is an $88 pop-up tent. I don't know. I will test that aspect out in the future, but for now, let's just say this is a good weather only tent. The truth is, for a lot of people, that's all they need, that's all they want. It's kind of funny. The company did say this was a 4 to 5 person tent. Not even close, bud. No. I mean, like, even 5 kids, they wouldn't fit inside of this. I mean, 2 people at the most. What is kind of not funny is the fact that I thought this tent was gigantic. I thought this awning was like tall enough to stand under, but that's not the case. You could easily sit under it, but you can't stand under it. In the end though, I'm not disappointed with this tent. Not for $88, with the caveat of not so far. You know what I mean? So far, hot conditions, dry conditions, there's no reason why this is going to be a bad shelter. In fact, it's actually designed fairly smartly. With the awning here, this is the best way I've ever seen this done on any tent before. It goes all the way to the midpoint of the tent, so you don't have to worry about rainwater falling onto the inside of the tent. It's incredibly smart. It's super simple and it's smart. Then you have to take into account all of the mesh on this tent. 2 large doors, 2 mesh windows. That really is a huge win in warm conditions like this. It is definitely hot, everybody. Very, very hot. It's about 83 degrees right now. Whew, and it's humid. At least at the moment, we're in the shade, and that means a lot, it really does. This has been the hottest summer that I can remember. It's the hottest summer in a really long time. I mean, most of the time in the summertime, it's about 75 degrees up here in the mountains. But this year, it's been consistently in the 80s. Mid 80s, upper 80s, even higher. I mean, it's just been awful. It's just been terrible. You get acclimated to certain environments. So it's like you get accustomed to like 70 degrees, 75 degrees. So when it's like 85 degrees, 90 degrees, and the humidity's there, oh man, it's something else. I was talking to one of my neighbors the other day and he was saying the exact same thing. This is one of the hottest summers that he can ever remember. He does not remember it ever being in the 80s just every single day for months. But it has been. He does construction and he says that it's been so hot for them that they've been unable to work some days. I mean, again, it goes back to like what you're acclimatized to. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like people coming up from the flatlands here to the mountains in the winter time. They go out camping and then having to call an emergency rescue because they're so cold. It happens all the time. Unfortunately, the heat is not only here on the East Coast, but also on the West Coast as well. Susie and I, we had a plan to drive across the country so that we could do an epic backpacking adventure. But those plans fell through because there's a heat wave out west. We called the ranger station for that district, and the lady that we spoke to said that it was just simply too hot to go backpacking in that area. Put it off until fall. So that is what we're going to do. She stated that the area was incredibly dry. They didn't get much in the way of snow during the wintertime, so there's very little water in the streams. And at the same time, I believe it was the day before yesterday, a fire was reported in that area. So unfortunately, the trip did not work out. I'll just stay here in beautiful North Carolina for now. My plan going forward is to begin testing out really interesting tents, right? Today, with this trip here, we have this large pop-up tent. You know, as far as pop-up tents go, this is probably one of the largest that I've seen. I've never seen one with an awning, but size-wise, one of the largest I've ever seen. I'm going to get in all sorts of really interesting, very large tents. The thing is that I'm not going to go out and buy just garbage. I'm not interested in that stuff. I don't like wasting my money. I'm always looking for good quality gear, and that's exactly why I purchased this tent. In the future, my preview of this tent will be coming up, and I'll talk more about it. I really don't want to make this episode all about gear, even though I can talk about gear all day long. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. I love outdoor gear. That's why this channel is called The Outdoor Gear Review. Cheers, everyone. Oh man, this little fan here, it is making all the difference. Respect it. I do. This little Smart Devil fan, I've had this forever. It works so incredibly well, and it really does make all the difference in the world. It is super hot today, there's very little of a breeze, but yet this little fan is making a huge difference. Because of it, I'm actually comfortable. And this little fan here costs like, I don't know, 12 bucks, something like that. There's a pretty good sized thunderstorm over here to our southeast. I don't think it's gonna come this way, but it's possible. I've been hearing thunder for the last 30 minutes or so. It's close, but not intimidatingly close, if that makes sense. I don't feel like I'm in danger of it raining here at the moment. Again, everyone, there is a slight chance of rain today. It's like 30%, something like that. I will keep an eye on this, and if I have to, I'll seal this tent up real quick. As you all can see here, I went ahead, got my fire pit ready for tonight, gathered some firewood that I processed a long time ago. Tonight, we will have a fire. Once the sun goes down, it cools down just a little bit, this is going to be nice. As for an update, everyone, it is now a little bit after 6 o'clock. it is still extremely warm. Temps in the 80s, humidity 88% right now, which is pretty high. I've been basically just kicking back, relaxing in front of Mr. Fan here. In truth, that's about all there is to do right now. If you're gonna go camping in really warm conditions, it's one of those things where you really do have to balance the things that you do. You have to prioritize and make sure to take time to cool down. So anytime that I work, I get hot, I stop, and then I cool down. This little fan here really is making all the difference in the world. I can sit here for about 10 minutes in front of this fan and I feel so much cooler. People ask me all the time about how to go camping in the summertime. Well, it's protocols like this. It's all about staying out of the sun, limiting your activity until the cooler hours, and having some airflow. You need to transfer that heat away from your body so that you can cool down. And something like this fan here makes that really, really easy. Even with the heat, everyone, and the humidity, it is a beautiful day. And every once in a while, the wind picks up, and it feels so good. It puts this little fan to shame, I tell you that. Thankfully, the hottest part of the day is already behind us, so it's going to be cooling down now. Here in just a little bit, I'll go ahead, start dinner, get that done before it gets dark. That way, around dark, we can get this fire going. As far as the thunderstorm goes, that was to our south. It has died off, and as it stands right now, there's no chance of rain. Dinner tonight, everyone, is going to be incredible. Just wait and see. Everyone, folks, that is so incredibly good. What I have here is coconut rice along with Hawaiian chicken with pineapple. This is amazing. This is chicken thighs, which are my absolute favorite. They're so incredibly soft and juicy. As far as the time goes, it is 7 o'clock. We have an hour and 43 minutes before the sun goes down. It remains partly cloudy out. When it goes away, it cools down. When it comes back out, it gets so hot. I still have my little fan going. It makes all the difference in the world. I'm not complaining about the heat or anything like that, but what I am doing is describing to you all the conditions, just so you know exactly what it's like to be out on this trip. When I come out for these trips, it's not just myself camping, it's you all. You're right here with me, or at least that's how I feel. I'm really excited to camp inside of this tent tonight. For the first time in a handful of weeks, I actually have a tent that's going to give me good airflow. It really will make a huge difference. Here's an important question for you all. Pineapple with chicken? Yes. Pineapple with pizza? Question mark? I don't think so. I'm not a caveman. I don't put pineapple on my pizza. I'm sophisticated and I mix all of my coffee together. That's how it's supposed to be. There is something that we should talk about. I've mentioned this in quite a few episodes, but this is a question that just keeps coming back up. So people ask me all the time, why am I eating in camp when there are so many black bears in this area? Some of them rather large. You all remember that one that was captured on a trail camera here? That was a scary black bear. Not cute and cuddly, monstrous. Anyways, the reason why I can eat in camp right next to my tent is rather simple. We are out in the middle of nowhere, and the black bear in this area, they're afraid of me. They're afraid of humans. There's only a few times where these type of bears are dangerous. One, if they're starving. Two, if they've learned really bad habits from humans. Let's say that I was at a campsite in a very popular area, maybe the Smoky Mountain National Park or something like that. Or maybe I was on the Appalachian Trail. In areas like that, because you have so many people and so many bears having interactions, the bears are losing their fear of humans, and because of that, they're becoming more and more aggressive, more and more dangerous. And it really is a shame. It really is us going through their turf, going through their territory. We're teaching them bad habits, and they are the ones who are going to be punished. Because once you have a bear that's aggressive towards humans, they have to be put down. They can't be relocated, nothing like that. They have to be killed. That is why I'm not taking as many precautions here as I would someplace else. If you go back on my channel, basically back towards the beginning, I did a lot of my adventures on the Appalachian Trail, or I did them at like established campsites and stuff like that. Back then, I would take a ton of precautions when it comes to bears because I had to. But because this area has grown so much, has become so popular, I tend not to hike on trails. I tend not to go to established campsites. More than anything, I'm off trail in the middle of nowhere. And that's because I want peace and solitude. That's my style, you know what I mean? Trying to film a YouTube video when you're surrounded by campsites and people making noise and stuff like that, I mean, it really does take away from like the viewing experience. And at the same time, it takes away from my enjoyment of the camping trip, you know? That's why I come here to Lone Wolf Mountain, and that's why I go deep into the remote forest where there's no people. There are black bear out there, but because those bears haven't learned bad behaviors, I'm safe. Because this area is so remote, there's so few people, there's a lot of black bear, but there's no interactions going on. I don't have to carry with me bear spray. I don't have to carry with me a firearm. All I have to do is just mind my own business, they mind their own business, and we can get along perfectly. I do want to say this. This is my philosophy of use, right? Your philosophy may be different. You may go out in the middle of nowhere and you still use a bear hang, a yur sack, so on and so forth. I mean, it's completely up to you. Just because I do something doesn't mean that you have to. You can think differently, you can do things differently. It's completely up to you. You need to take the safety precautions that you want to take. as you all can see here, I decided to get the fire going. The truth is, it's pretty warm tonight. I'm gonna have to stay pretty far away from this. But it's doing a good job of kind of getting the bugs out of the area. We really don't have mosquitoes here in this part of the mountains, but there's still all sorts of things flying around. While we have very few mosquitoes in this part of the mountains, what we do have are no-see-ums. They're super small, they do bite, it kind of hurts just for a second, but it leaves behind like a big red spot. That's pretty much why I went ahead and started this fire. The truth is, it's warm tonight. I really don't want to be too close to this, but I'm not ready to turn in yet. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's time for some really good coffee, and it's time to wake up. It is now 5 o'clock in the morning, and let me tell you all, it finally feels fantastic on this trip. The temperature has gone down. It's about 67 degrees right now. Humidity 100%. outside of the tent here, it's misting just a little bit. It's a real heavy fog this morning. I slept great last night. I turned in around 10 o'clock and basically just fell straight to sleep. The saving grace, everyone, well, there's a couple things. That fan, awesome. The amount of mesh on this tent, that really did make for a pleasant night's sleep. The fan, though, that made the biggest difference. It really kept things comfortable inside of that tent. You know, everyone, when it comes to summertime camping, a great way to beat the summertime heat is to get up early. Do your trips later in the afternoon, you know, stay up late, get up early. Basically enjoy the darker hours. I mean, it makes a huge difference. Today it's supposed to be so hot, like almost 90. The forecast says 86, and generally for this area it's a little bit warmer than that, so it probably will be close to 90 today. That's really the reason why I got up so early. I just want to get up, enjoy the coolness, and call it done. You know what I mean? This has been a really fun trip, all in all. I mean, it's been a little bit miserable at times, yeah, but this tent was interesting. I really wanted to test this thing out. I thought it was so much bigger. I mean, it's big. It's probably the largest pop-up tent I've ever seen, but it's not as big as I thought it was going to be. 5 people in that thing? 5? You're out of your mind. There's no way. For now, I would say if you're watching this video and you're even contemplating purchasing this tent, I would say for now, this is a dry weather only sort of tent. After looking this tent over on the inside yesterday, I don't know if this tent would be waterproof. Some of the seams are taped, some are not. I think it would be water resistant, but not waterproof. It's almost like I can hear like the buzzing of bees, almost like a beehive or something. The only thing is like I could just almost make it out. Not 100%. I'm a lifelong sufferer of tinnitus, so I have a constant ringing in my ears, so sometimes like the finer things I can't quite make out. I'm just not sure exactly what I hear. Something. I don't know. It's too early to solve like the mysteries of the earth, you know what I mean? I think I'll just sit here, drink my coffee, and talk to you all. You know, folks, with this tent here, I think this is the perfect tent to go under like a large tarp. Like one of those situations where you set up a big tarp and you put this underneath it. Getting the big tarp to set up, that's gonna take a little bit of work, but as soon as you got that part done, you grab this, unfold it, boom, camp is pretty much done. The tent may not be waterproof, but it's water resistant, and it would do a good job for like, you know, wind-driven rain, mist, and so on. For 88 bucks, that makes a lot of sense. Folks, I almost forgot. Coming up later this year, you all are going to see one of the craziest tents ever made. It is unlike anything I've ever seen before. It is unlike anything you've ever seen before. Coming soon. It really is a little bit too early to say much about it, but I can promise you all, it is going to be wild. I cannot wait to get this thing in. It's something else. I'm not really sure what to think about it. It's cool. Really, really cool. Does that mean you should think about getting one once I get one? Probably not. This is not a tent for everybody, but it will make for an interesting adventure or two. That's for sure. Oh man. Anyways, as it stands right now, it's about 5:30. The sun is coming up. The world is waking up. Here in a little bit, the sun will be cresting. It says here, the sun will be up in less than an hour. The biggest trend for 2024 certainly has been AI. What do you all think about all of that stuff? Do you use it for work? Do you use it for personal stuff? Do you use it at all? A friend of mine recently, well, I guess going back for many years, had some medical issues. And basically he took all of his symptoms, his lab results and whatnot, and he punched it into an AI system. I'm not sure which one. And basically it gave him a diagnosis, which he asked his doctor to look into, and guess what? That's exactly what it was. That, my friends, is pretty impressive. Apparently, he was like a chronic sufferer. I'm not going to mention anything because it's all private, but you know, it's like he was suffering for a long time from this certain issue, and nobody could figure out what it was. Not until AI did. My friend told me that over the years he spent over $10,000 trying to figure out what was wrong with him and could never get an answer. And all of a sudden this free program on the internet told him exactly what it was. That's something else. You know what I mean? I think in the past I may have spoken negatively about AI. And what I said is true. I think it's going to replace a lot of jobs. In fact, it already has. But there is a flip side to that. There is a positive, just like this situation here. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, everyone. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. According to this, it is 64 degrees. My thermometer says 67. There's a 20% chance of thunderstorms today. High 85. Of course, add a few degrees for here. Tomorrow, 84. Monday, 87. Tuesday, 88. Wednesday, 80. That's an improvement. Thursday, 78. Friday, 74. Yes, it's going to get hot, but at the same time, it's going to cool down. We have a cold front coming through next weekend that is going to be incredible. We have a cool down coming, right? So by Friday of next week, we're talking about mid-70s. Let's continue on. For Saturday, 68 is the high. Sunday, 59 degrees is the high. The next day, 57. Next day, 57. Next day, 59. And then it's going to warm back up. I cannot wait for it to be in the 50s. Sweater on, you know what I mean? The crackle of the fire and actually wanting to be next to it. The forecast that I read last night stated it will be 30 degrees below normal in this area coming up soon. And I can't wait. Yes! Man, it's amazing. It is mid-July right now. I mean, folks, fall is right around the corner. Already the leaves in the forest have begun changing color. I mean, fall's coming. I mean, it really is. As you all can hear, the forest is waking up. That means it is time to wrap up this adventure. I'm going to begin packing up since I can see now. This has been a fantastic adventure. Thank you all so much for joining me for this trip. Talk about an interesting tent. But this thing is nothing compared to what is coming up, especially later on this year. My friends, it's time to go home before it gets too hot. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the thumbs up before you go. I do appreciate it. I want to wish you all well. Strength and honor. Bye for now.